I'm Emma. I'm the music director here at WRUV, and I'm joined here today by the Lemon Twigs. Would you guys mind introducing yourselves?
Sure. I'm Brian.
And I'm Michael.
Thank you so much for coming today. I have a couple of nice, easy questions for you. First, what album or song have you been listening to nonstop lately?
Been listening to that Swamp Dog
I've been
thing
listening
there.
to the Swamp Dog album, his first record. And I've been also listening to some Marvin Gaye, Here My Dear.
I've just been listening to my classic things I like to listen to all the time, like the Monkees
Yeah.
and, the Keys song. We've been learning a lot of covers, so I have to listen to the covers that we're doing. So Keys, Todd Rundgren.
Daughters of Albion is a record that I've been listening to constantly for the last 3 months. A Leon Russell produced album from like 1968. Very cool, orchestral pop.
Here's an odd one. What is a song by another artist that you wish you wrote?
Hmm.
God only knows, maybe. That's like, that to me is like one of the most perfect songs. So who among us would not love to write that
Let's
track?
Pretend. Raspberries.
What movie would your music be the soundtrack to?
People keep comparing the new song to the song from the movie. What is it? Not You've Got Mail. The other Tom Hanks, the one with the Power Pops intro. Everybody keeps commenting that the new song sounds like that song. I can't. The title is escaping me.
Is it
it's
a
like one of
romantic
yeah,
comedy?
it's a romantic comedy.
Yeah, our new song would be in any number of
Yeah,
romantic
any number of
comedies.
those. Yeah, that would be great. I was
Maybe
thinking that
something with Ashton Kutcher.
I was thinking it would be because a lot of people are saying that My Golden Years sounds like it would be great for the intro of a sitcom or something. And
Absolutely.
I was thinking that would be great. I would love that. So any kind of sitcom would be great, and
And
it
then
could be
it's
about old folks a retirement home,
Yeah,
golden years.
and then it's something from the last album for some Gus Van Sant movie.
It's dark.
What is your favorite city that you visited over tour over the years?
Probably Tokyo, or I love I loved Brussels. We went to Brussels. That was cool.
Yeah, those kind of places are real fun. Places where you never thought you'd ever go. You find out what a, venue looks like, in one of those places, which is pretty similar to the way they look everywhere.
So, at the beginning of the month, right at the start of 2024, you released a brand new single and a music video. So, tell me about My Golden Years.
It's like an upbeat pop song with a lot of harmonies and kind of birdsy and beatly and all that. Um, yeah, it has pretty light lyrical content, I'd say. And we recorded it just the two of us playing all the instruments and doing all the harmonies and stuff.
Yeah, we did the music video with, Ambar Navarro, who, directed, the Any Time of Day video that we did for the last album, and, that was great. I mean, she and, her DP, Max Flick, um, they work really well together, and they're like it's great because we directed a couple of the music videos for the last record, and anytime we do something with them, we know we can just kinda walk on, and it's gonna be something fun, you know? So it was cool, and it was fun because we did it with the live band, with Reza and Danny, and, so it made the whole experience a lot more fun for us.
It was very fun. It was very whimsical. And you mentioned the monkeys before. It felt like an episode of a TV show.
Yeah. It,
It just looked fun, little adventure.
yeah. Yeah. All the sped up kind of things. Very monkeys.
And you are producing your own music right now. Is that correct?
Yeah. We did that. Like we produced that Golden Years song. We produced our last
3
three
or 4.
albums.
Yeah, 3 or
That's just something we've always recorded since we were young on tape, analog tape, and always recording on tape machines. My dad had an 8-track that I begged him to teach me how to record on. He was very pro digital, so he thought that was silly that I would want to record on tape. But once you start doing it and you hear like your own voice and your own, guitar or whatever come off with a tape machine, as opposed to the computer, it's so satisfying, and it's almost like a veil. It's almost like not as naked.
I'm sure it's a much longer process, but it must be much more rewarding.
Yeah, well, I think that, for me personally, which maybe result of being so bad at the computer, but, mainly I think I've just had so much more experience working on tape. Digital is much slower for me. And there's another element of that, which is perfectionism. And when you're on the computer, you're more likely to go in and try to change every note of the drums to try to get it in time. And our process being kind of like, even when we're on the computer, we're trying to be organic about it. So we're not really recording with a click or anything. So then if you go to the computer and you're not recording with a click, and then you're beat tracking everything or whatever they call it, it's it's harder than it is even to start out with this kind of like digital approach. Because so our whole approach is analog, so it happens to actually be easier and quicker of a process for us, to do it top to bottom analog.
Throughout your discography, I mean, all of the analog production, you can tell that you've drawn a lot of inspiration from older bands. It shows in your sound and even in your stage presence, like Paul McCartney, Big Star, other glam rock acts, and most recently, like Simon and Garfunkel on your last record, Everything Harmony. Did you take inspiration from any new artists that you haven't really listened to before for your new song and for your new video?
Not really. The new song, if anything, the last record that we did was kind of we were exploring the modern.
It's
We were trying to kind of, at the very least sonically, and I would say melodically, there were elements, we kinda had always kept blinders on in terms of, modern stuff because it didn't appeal to us on a base level. Like, like we would hear like melody that had this kind of tinge to it and go, "Ugh, like, I don't know why it's so different." But when you analyze it and certain notes people choose, and um but with the last album, we had kind of thought of, not doing that, not excluding that. So I think that people connected with it subconsciously, unknowingly because of that in a way. But then at the same time, also our approach in terms of the recording and production had leveled up a lot. So you can't really pin it to one thing, really. Why I think people connected with our last record more than they did with other records of ours. But yeah, no, I couldn't say single out an artist. It was more like kind of like even the production values. It's all analog, but it's not so throwback or something. The last record, this kind of more is the new thing, and I decide personally. It's just what I like.
Yeah.
It's just I've
there
dipped
was
my
also
toe in the
just
water of this other thing, and I liked it, but this
but
is really what I like. So
though, it's like every time we do a new record or a new song or something, it's like we're always highlighting a different shade of what we do, you know?
trying to take a
So,
little
like,
part and expound on it.
I think recently the feeling has been because the last record was a bit dreary, um,
Sort of just more,
to do
down
more
tempo
to
and
do
ballad heavy.
to do more like, bubblegummy type stuff, you know?
Yeah,
And
just ear candy stuff.
so, I mean, I think that for us, that means, uh, a little bit more '60s kind of like the Monkees or something. It's like almost like very professional songwriting, but you don't really have a lot of those writers around anymore, because there's no money to be made from doing that kind of music.
Yeah. So clearly, you two have a really deep love and respect for classic rock and pop musicians. I want to know what it was like to work with Todd Rundgren.
It was great, when we worked with him actually in person. That was like, what, 7 years, 6 years ago,
Yeah, it
something.
was right at the start of our
Yeah, it was right.
career,
So
pretty much.
we were not very experienced, and we were recording him on tape, which I don't think he was kinda getting a kick out of that because it had been a long time. He's always been ahead of the curve, so he switched to digital as soon as he could, really, in the '90s. And, he's really he thought it was kinda cool. He's a home recording guy, so that was it was thrilling definitely to have him in our parents' basement, which at the time is where we were, and, uh, to record this vocal. But then we kind of, would go to his shows when he was in town and stuff and say hi, and it became a thing where it was really cool for us. And, because that was less of a collaboration so much as he was just singing on the thing. And then he asked us to do this new, collaboration record. Could you send, like, a half of a song or something my way, and then I'll finish it off, and that's what he was asking everybody. So we sent him this half a song, and he sent us back this all the vocals sounded great, and it had this kind of very Todd Rundgren xylophone,
Solo.
solo on it, and, I know it was supposed to be a Todd Rundgren type song.
Yeah, when we wrote it, it wasn't like it we didn't know he was gonna be involved in it. It was just, something that we wanted to do, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
But we
yeah.
never could come up with lyrics for it, so it was kinda perfect when he asked us
Yeah, it
if we
was
had
very
something
cool, and,
unfinished.
it's
The
always
thing with
anytime
him
you
is,
have to
like
pinch yourself with him and stuff because it's really is like he's such an incredible musician and songwriter, and when I don't forget until I hear the music, and then
the
you
thing with
go,
him
"I
is,
can't
like,
believe
I
we
don't think
have
he's
met this guy."
ever had a period where he was inactive. Like, he's stayed very active in producing records and making records his whole career, so he's very quick because I don't think he ever
He's
really
not precious.
gets rusty, because he's constantly on the road and stuff.
You've collaborated with lots of legends. Who are some other people or other bands, or artists that you've collaborated with over the years?
Well, we did some work with our father who's, not a
Well-known,
well-known musician, but is a very good musician,
and
and,
people who hear his stuff are always really
yeah, whenever I show people his
blown
stuff,
away
they
by
go,
his
"Wait a
songs.
minute, this is great. This explains why you can do anything at all." And, I mean, I think that, uh, w if any kind of those are the people we find really fun to play with, like Chris Stamey, who we're playing with. It's from the DBs, and it's just like, people who are into, cool chords and stuff like that. Those are the people who are really kind of fun to bounce off of and stuff because they know what you mean when you say something, and you know that they're gonna learn the part or something like that, or
Yeah, we've done a lot of work with Jonathan Rado from Foxygen, done a lot of work with, some work with Wise Blood. We did some work with, Uni Boys, a record that we produced of theirs that was, like, really fun to see how they worked. Um, yeah, it's fun to do collaborations.
yeah, I mean, it's mostly just Brian and I. Tchotchke. It's mostly just Brian and I, and it's like, a lot of it's not very fun, you know? No, I'm just kidding. It is fun,
It's
but
more fun when you bring other people into it.
it's like kinda like being in a room with a lamp.
You know, you just
Just
you
not
know
in it.
everything
You're
that
not
thing
really
is
in
gonna say,
yeah, yeah.
you know?
Totally.
A lamp is going to be someone of few words,
A lamp
much like myself.
a lamp who you get the same Thai food with every day, and, you basically know what his order is gonna be.
Yes, it's gonna be
Mixed vegetables.
mixed vegetables, chicken.
Yes.
So clearly, you've been working together as artists, as musicians for so many years now. How has your songwriting process changed over those years from when you just started kind of jamming, writing your first songs to now when you're producing and creating many singles and many albums?
Me personally, when I first wrote something that I really liked, I started to feel like, anytime something came naturally, that it was good, you know? And, if it wasn't like a pain to kind of like come up with words and stuff. I didn't really give it much of a second thought, which is good in a sense in that like, it feels like you can write stuff and you have confidence in what you're doing. So bring it across the finish line or whatever. But, I did start to notice that after a couple of years, I would look back at,
Be one or two that you
lyrics.
liked and one or two that and a lot that you didn't like.
Yes.
Because of a few things, that would be so much better if the lyrics were better there or
So it's good to not I think it's good to not doubt yourself when you're just starting to write something and
but it's
let
good to have
whatever
an editing
happens
process.
flow. But yeah, I definitely have more of an editing process now, and
I
we
think
think of it outside of the moment of creation and try to think of it a little bit objectively after the fact as well to see what we're
I think
saying.
a huge thing for us too is that when we were first gonna start making albums, when you first start, we were writing songs and then just kind of recording them because we always recorded them at home. And when we first started making albums, we would go into the album going, like, "This is what we're gonna do for the album." Like, this is what like, which was maybe inspired by Foxygen, like our friends who were really conceptual. They had really conceptual thinking, and I think we thought that was really cool, and we wanted to do that. But then as we've progressed, we've sort of gone into a mode of the albums kind of form, but we just record all the time. And we take the pieces and we put them all together, and that's down. It's sort of more of like a solo musician's uh way of working, maybe like a Todd Rundgren or something like that, where he'll go in and make an album, certainly, but there's also periods of just it's like collecting. You just collect songs and then that's how the Beach Boys, I think, would work. Then they might take all of the pieces and take them somewhere and finish them. That's the album. But I like that way of working because,
It's good to have a lot more songs floating around.
yeah, you have a back catalog and you can pull from things and certain things you can let rest for a long time before you feel like they're ready to
Like
come
the
out.
last album, like the lead single off that album or the first single off
Corner of
that
my eye.
album was written, probably shortly after our first album in 2017 or something like that. So that's way, there were like, 2 records that, uh, you
Because the
know,
truth of it is you never really know what your greatest thing that you've got is, you don't really know. And other people can try to tell you, but they don't know what
they can
other people
also
are gonna like.
and they can also lead you astray.
Yeah, very often they will. So it's really just best to kind of have stuff and you think know what you think is good. And if you have a lot of stuff, we've always had a lot of stuff. It was just kind of like you don't necessarily want all the new stuff to take precedent because you decided this is my new thing that I'm doing. You're so excited about it. So
Your last record, it all feels so cohesive. I could have thought that all of that was written in the same week. It
right.
was all very, very similar, but it all had the same feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and the reality of it is that if you write 10 songs in a week, oftentimes they're actually not, they're kind of all over the map because it's like, oh, I just did that. I don't want to do that. So kind of like you might have a burst and then you do like one ballad, I don't know, whatever it is. We just took the songs we thought were worked together, but that weren't too samey. So if you have like, obviously you don't want 10 ballads. You
A
don't want,
little bit of variation in there.
yeah, but you want it to flow. So
Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. And for all the WRUV listeners out there, could you give us a quick rundown on where to find you guys on social media and your newsletter?
sure, we're at the Lemon Twigs on Instagram and Twitter.
And,
X.
you can look us up on our website, thelemontwigs.com, and you can sign up for our newsletter, and mailing list. And I think
Brian's also making some fantastic TikToks that the kids
they haven't
they
quite
haven't quite latched on
they haven't
to.
quite latched on yet,
Brian's got a sort of a very unique TikTok style that's kind of like
I think it's just a little bit too ahead of the curve right now.
It's
I think
not
history
it's
will
not
look.
the
I think
typical
history will look back on
kindly,
my
yeah.
TikToks, fondly.
Fondly, yeah. I think that it's not that you're typical, I'm, uh, this kind of thing. What is that? This thing
They're
where
almost
I don't know if you no, because I was just saying it's not your typical.
like, oh yeah.
It's not
Oh,
that they're
yeah.
Antiviral TikToks, I would say.
that
Absolutely.
makes not spread.
Yeah.
The
Uh,
kids will catch on to it soon. They'll get it.
Hopefully, they, they have to watch a lot of Beatles anthology to really know what's going on the TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all of our interweb stuff.